Losing a spouse is an incredibly difficult experience, one that's not just emotionally draining, but also filled with countless decisions that suddenly fall on your lap. Grief can leave you feeling overwhelmed, and in those moments it's easy to make choices based on pain, loneliness, or external pressures. However, some decisions made in haste can lead to regret, financial strain, and emotional setbacks that only make healing harder. While everyone's journey through grief is personal, there are certain things that deserve extra thought before committing to them. In this video, we'll go over 5 things to avoid after the loss of a spouse, decisions that many people make without realizing they're not yet ready. These are the mistakes that can complicate an already difficult time, and by being aware of them, you can safeguard your emotional, financial, and physical health. Stick with me until the end, as these insights aren't just about avoiding errors, they're about helping you move forward with clarity, dignity, and the support you deserve. Let's dive in. Number 1. Making major financial decisions too quickly. A common mistake people make after losing a spouse is rushing into big financial choices. It makes sense. You suddenly find yourself dealing with bank accounts, insurance policies, investments, and perhaps even decisions about your home. In the wake of grief, it can feel like making quick decisions will bring some sense of control or stability. But the reality is that grief can cloud judgment. Making irreversible financial decisions in those early days often leads to regret. When emotions are running high, what seems like the right choice might not actually be in your best interest long term. Many widows and widowers feel pressured by caring friends, financial advisors, or even their own desire to act quickly, whether that's selling the family home, relocating, or making big investments. But the months after the loss of a spouse are a time for emotional healing, not financial gambles. The wisest decision is to pause. Allow yourself the time you need to process your loss before making any choices that could have a lasting impact on your life. Take Margaret, for example. At 74, she was advised by several people to sell her home and downsize after losing her husband. The idea made sense: less space to maintain, lower costs, and the chance for a fresh start. Within a few months, she sold the house where she and her husband had lived for 40 years and moved into a smaller apartment in a new town. But after the initial shock wore off, she realized she'd acted out of panic. She missed her old home, the neighborhood, and the comfort of familiarity. In hindsight, she wished she had taken more time before making such a major decision. Financial decisions extend beyond just real estate. Many newly widowed individuals are targeted by opportunistic financial predators, those who prey on vulnerability. This can include unsolicited investment offers, high-pressure sales tactics, or even well-meaning but misguided advice from friends. It's essential to stay cautious. If someone is pushing you to sign papers, withdraw large sums of money, or invest quickly, take a step back. The best financial choices are rarely the ones made in haste. Another mistake is giving away money or assets too soon. Grief often brings a strong urge to help others, be it children, grandchildren, or charities. While generosity is admirable, giving away large sums of money or dividing assets too quickly can leave you in a vulnerable position down the line. What seems manageable today may not be sustainable in the future. Before making any significant financial moves, it's best to consult with a trusted advisor who understands your long-term needs and can guide you in making sound decisions. The first year after losing a spouse should focus on stabilizing your life, not making drastic financial changes. Experts often suggest following the one-year rule, which means waiting at least a year before making irreversible financial decisions. This gives you time to recover from the emotional shock and think clearly about what's truly best for your future. Losing a spouse is already one of life's toughest transitions. You don't need added stress from avoidable financial missteps. Take your time, seek reliable guidance, and remember that the best decisions come from clarity, not grief. Number 2. Isolating yourself from friends and family. After the loss of a spouse, it's completely normal to crave time alone. Grief is deeply personal, and sometimes solitude seems like the only way to process the overwhelming emotions. However, while it's important to take moments for yourself, completely shutting out friends and family can lead to a far greater sense of loneliness, one that makes healing more difficult. Many people fall into the trap of withdrawing, convincing themselves they just need more time, but isolation can quickly become a dangerous cycle that's hard to break. Human connection is vital to emotional healing, especially in times of loss. When we distance ourselves for too long, feelings of sadness, anxiety, and even physical health problems can intensify. Studies show that prolonged social isolation can weaken the immune system, raise blood pressure, and even shorten life expectancy. On the other hand, staying connected, even in small ways, can provide emotional support and lighten the heavy load of grief. Take 78-year-old Walter's story. After his wife of 52 years passed away, he stopped answering calls, skipped family events, and rarely left his house. He convinced himself that talking to others wouldn't help, that nobody could understand his pain, and that being alone was simply easier. As months passed, things didn't get better. In fact, they got worse. His days felt endless, his energy drained, and his appetite faded. It wasn't until a neighbor insisted on having him over for coffee that things began to change. That one small gesture turned into a weekly routine of meeting up with friends, and Walter soon realized that he didn't have to carry his grief alone. The pain didn't disappear, but the burden lightened because he discovered that others shared in it too. The key is not forcing yourself into big social situations before you're ready. Instead, focus on small steps to stay connected. Whether it's answering a phone call, going for a short walk with a friend, or attending a support group, these actions can keep you from slipping into deep isolation. If talking feels too much, that's okay. Simply being around others, even if it's just listening to a conversation, can remind you that life moves forward and that support is just a reach away. Another common mistake is pushing away those who care most. Grief often brings irritability, fatigue, and the feeling that others just don't understand. But completely shutting people out can create unnecessary distance from those who truly want to be there for you. Your loved ones may not have the perfect words, but their presence alone can make a world of difference. Letting them in, little by little, can provide a sense of comfort, even if words aren't enough. It's also crucial to connect with people who truly understand what you're going through. Joining a grief support group, participating in a community event, or even engaging in an online forum can be deeply healing. Talking to others who have experienced similar loss can validate your emotions and remind you that you're not alone. Grief doesn't have a set timeline, and healing looks different for everyone, but complete isolation only makes the journey more challenging. By finding small, manageable ways to reconnect, you can experience strength, support, and even moments of unexpected joy. Remember, you don't have to carry the weight of your loss by yourself. There are people who care, who want to walk with you, and who can help guide you forward, one step at a time. If you're still with me and finding these insights helpful, drop a number 2 in the comments to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss another video. Your support keeps us creating valuable content for you. Now, let's move forward. Number 3. Ignoring your own health and well-being. When a spouse passes away, it's easy to become so overwhelmed by grief that you forget to care for yourself. You might skip doctor's appointments, let meals go by the wayside, or let your usual routine slip. Some people even feel guilty about taking care of their health, as though prioritizing their well-being diminishes their love or grief. But the truth is, neglecting your health doesn't bring you closer to the one you've lost. It only makes the journey forward more challenging. Grief impacts the body in ways we may not even realize. Studies show that losing a spouse increases the risk of heart problems, weakened immunity, and even cognitive decline. The stress of grief can lead to high blood pressure, disrupted sleep, and changes in appetite. Some people lose interest in eating, while others turn to unhealthy comfort foods. Over time, these changes can take a serious toll on both physical and mental health. The key isn't expecting to feel normal right away, but to make small choices that help your body stay strong as you navigate this difficult time. Take James, for example, an 81-year-old who stopped cooking meals for himself after his wife passed away. He convinced himself he wasn't hungry, and when he did eat, it was usually something quick and processed. Within months, he started feeling weak, fatigued, and struggled with sleep. His daughter noticed the change and encouraged him to start eating regular meals again, even without an appetite. Slowly, as he made small adjustments, like preparing simple, nutritious meals and drinking more water, he noticed his energy levels improved, his mood stabilized, and he felt better able to handle the emotional weight of grief. Self-care goes beyond food. It also includes movement, sleep, and emotional well-being. Many people who lose a spouse stop exercising, not because they don't want to stay active, but because they no longer have someone to do it with. However, staying physically active, even with something as simple as a daily walk, has been shown to reduce stress, improve mood, and even enhance longevity. Joining a local walking group or exercise class can provide both physical benefits and a sense of social connection. Another common mistake is neglecting medical checkups. Many widows and widowers skip routine doctor visits or delay seeking medical help because they feel too overwhelmed. But taking care of your health is more important than ever in these times. If you haven't had a checkup in a while, it's time to make an appointment. Regular checkups, managing existing health conditions, and keeping up with medications can make a significant difference in how you feel, both physically and emotionally. Mental health is just as important as physical health. Grief can bring about depression, anxiety, and feelings of hopelessness, especially when paired with isolation. If you're struggling, it's important to reach out for support. Talking to a counselor, joining a grief support group, or simply confiding in a trusted friend can offer relief and reassurance. Taking this journey alone and asking for help isn't a sign of weakness. It's a step toward healing. Your spouse would want you to take care of yourself. Honoring their memory doesn't mean sacrificing your well-being. It means continuing to live in a way that lets you find moments of peace and strength. It's okay to grieve, to take your time, and to feel the weight of your loss. But in the midst of it all, remember, your health still matters. You are still here, and your well-being is worth protecting. Number 4, rushing into a new relationship. Losing a spouse creates an emotional void that can feel impossible to fill. For many, the loneliness that follows is one of the hardest parts of grief, and the idea of finding companionship again may seem like the only way to cope. While there's nothing wrong with seeking connection, one of the most common mistakes widows and widowers make is rushing into a new relationship before they have fully processed their grief. The emotions of loss can create a deep need for comfort, but making major romantic decisions too soon often leads to more heartache, confusion, and regret. Grief doesn't follow a specific timeline, and everyone heals at their own pace. Some people take years before considering dating again, while others feel ready sooner. However, when emotions are still raw, the risk of entering a relationship for the wrong reasons is high. Many people unknowingly look for a partner, not because they're truly ready, but because they're seeking to replace what was lost, avoid loneliness, or escape the pain. These relationships might begin with strong emotions, but often lack the stability needed for long-term success. Take Barbara, for instance. Just months after losing her husband of nearly 50 years, she met someone through a friend and quickly entered into a relationship. At first, it felt like the companionship she desperately needed, someone to talk to share meals with, to distract her from the overwhelming loneliness. But as time passed, Barbara began to realize she wasn't truly ready. The relationship progressed faster than she expected, and she soon felt trapped in something that didn't feel right. Eventually, she had to step back, take time for herself, and in hindsight, wished she had given herself more time before making such a big decision. A new relationship should be about genuine connection, not just emotional relief. After spending decades with a spouse, the habits, routines, and shared memories are deeply ingrained. Jumping into a relationship before processing that loss can lead to unfair comparisons, unrealistic expectations, and feelings of guilt. Some widows and widowers even find themselves struggling with conflicting emotions, wanting to move forward but feeling as though they're betraying the person they lost. These feelings are natural but need to be worked through before entering into something new. Another concern is being vulnerable to individuals with bad intentions. Unfortunately, some people take advantage of those who are grieving, offering emotional support only to manipulate or exploit them financially. Scammers and even well-meaning but opportunistic individuals often seek out widowed seniors, knowing they may be emotionally fragile and in need of companionship. This is why it's essential to trust your instincts and take your time. If someone is pressuring you to commit quickly, make financial decisions, or distance yourself from friends and family, these are red flags that shouldn't be ignored. This doesn't mean you should avoid love or companionship forever. Many widows and widowers do find meaningful relationships later in life, but the healthiest and most fulfilling ones happen when both individuals are truly ready, when the decision is made from a place of healing, not desperation. Time and reflection are key. Taking time to process grief, rediscover personal identity, and find peace in being alone before seeking a new partner makes a world of difference. If you choose to date again, go at your own pace. Take time to understand what you truly want in a relationship and ensure you're entering it for the right reasons. Talk with trusted friends or family members about your feelings, and don't feel pressured by anyone's opinions, whether they think it's too soon or that you shouldn't be alone. The decision is yours and yours alone. At the end of the day, grief and healing are deeply personal journeys. There is no rush, no deadline, and no rule book. The most important thing is to take care of yourself first, so that, if and when the time comes, any new relationship you enter is built on a foundation of strength, peace, and true companionship. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend subscribing and turning on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. Number 5. Holding on to every possession without letting go. One of the hardest decisions after losing a spouse is what to do with their belongings. Every item holds precious memories, and the thought of letting go can feel like losing them all over again. Many widows and widowers struggle with this, keeping every piece of clothing, every personal item, exactly as it was, afraid that moving or changing anything means erasing the life they shared. While it's natural to hold on to sentimental items, keeping everything indefinitely can sometimes make grief feel heavier, preventing emotional healing and hindering your ability to move forward. There's no rule that says you must get rid of everything, but leaving an entire home untouched for years, with their closet exactly as it was, can turn your house into a shrine of grief rather than a place of comfort. Over time, instead of bringing peace, it can serve as a daily reminder of what's been lost, making it harder to adjust to a new chapter of life. Take Harold, for example. At 76, after losing his wife of 55 years, he left everything exactly as it was. Her shoes stayed by the door, her clothes remained in the closet, and her favorite chair remained untouched. At first, it felt like a way to keep her close, but as the months passed, he realized that walking past her belongings every day kept him emotionally stuck. While he wasn't ready to get rid of everything, slowly donating some items and keeping only a few meaningful ones brought him a sense of relief. Letting go didn't mean forgetting. It was about making room for healing. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting or loving less. It's about allowing yourself space to breathe. Instead of forcing yourself to make drastic changes, start small. Choose a few meaningful keepsakes like a piece of jewelry, a handwritten note, or a favorite photo, and create a special space for them. Then, when you feel ready, begin sorting through other belongings, deciding what holds real meaning and what's just taking up space. Another mistake is feeling pressured by others to clear things out before you're ready. Friends or family members may mean well, suggesting that you should move on or clear things out, but this decision should be made on your own timeline. If you're not ready, don't rush it. Be mindful, though, that holding on out of guilt or fear may keep you stuck in sadness longer than necessary. There's also an emotional balance in repurposing items rather than simply removing them. Some people find comfort in turning an old shirt into a quilt, transforming a collection of letters into a memory book, or passing down sentimental items to loved ones who will cherish them. This way, their presence remains, but in a way that brings warmth instead of sorrow. Ultimately, grief is not about things. It's about love, memories, and the bond you shared. No object can replace a person, but clinging to everything they owned won't bring them back either. Letting go in small, thoughtful ways is not about forgetting. It's about honoring their memory while also making space for your own healing. Moving forward doesn't mean moving away from them. It means carrying them with you in a way that allows both love and life to coexist. Final thoughts. Losing a spouse is one of life's most profound and painful experiences. It changes everything: the way you live, the way you think, and even the way you see the future. But in the midst of grief, remember that every decision you make has the power to either help or hinder your healing. Saying no to 5 common mistakes, rushing financial decisions, isolating yourself, neglecting your health, rushing into a new relationship, and holding on to every possession can make a significant difference in your ability to move forward with strength and clarity. Grief doesn't follow a set timeline, and there's no right or wrong way to process it. But avoiding these pitfalls can help you navigate this chapter of your life in a way that protects your heart and your future. Healing doesn't mean forgetting, and moving forward doesn't mean leaving your spouse behind. It's about honoring their memory and continuing to live with purpose, peace, and even joy in the moments ahead. What stood out to you the most? Which of these insights do you feel is the most important for your journey? Share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments motivates and encourages us. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating valuable content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.